For those of you that have been into our office before, you may already know this. And for some of you where you're not quite as familiar with our office, I just wanted to let you know what our mantra is. So we like to say explore, experience, achieve. And that's because we are all about helping students explore their career options by building experience to test out those options and see what they like and what they don't like, while also building your resume to gain experience. And we provide a lot of employer opportunities to make connections like at job fairs and networking events so that you can achieve whatever your professional goals are after you graduate. Whether that's going to graduate school to get a master's degree, looking for an internship, or a full-time job, we can help you with all of that. And in the center there is just a picture of our team. I'm wearing the green dress, and Alyssa is wearing the white skirt. She's next to me there, and Alyssa's actually on the call today. Quick shout out to Alyssa. She is amazing, and she's our employer and event coordinator. And she's just here today to help me kind of make sure everything runs smoothly. So thank you, Alyssa. And again, thank you all for being here. So you can also see on this slide, we've got a picture of Handshake. If you have not heard of Handshake, that is our go-to resource for posting jobs, posting events, and for you to schedule appointments. And if you are not that familiar with Handshake, by the end of this presentation, you'll probably be a little bit more familiar with it. So as I mentioned, the first thing that I want to acknowledge is that this is a very complex and unique and challenging time. And especially for those of you that are graduating, we recognize that this is not what you expected. And for many of you that are looking for internships, or perhaps even had an internship and then that offer was rescinded, I'm really sorry. I just want you to know that, like, that sucks. But we are here to help. And we do know a few things that hopefully will give you a little bit more positivity if you're feeling a little lost and struggling. So first of all, I just wanted to break down what we know is the same and what we know is different right now. So pre-COVID-19, we knew that networking is the most effective way to find a job. We also knew pre-COVID-19 that most interviews were occurring in a variety of ways, over the phone, virtual, as well as in person. And finally, we knew that the job and internship search process takes time. In a minute here, I'll go over the typical timeline. Now, of course, post-COVID-19, or during COVID-19, we're not really post it yet, we know that some companies have reduced hiring. Some companies are on hiring freezes. We also know that some companies have increased hiring. For example, Amazon, Walmart, many healthcare related jobs, and even some education jobs and government types of jobs. So there are some companies and many industries that are actually increasing their hiring. We do know that some companies are furloughing or even having to lay off employees, as well as rescinding offers for whether it was an internship or a full-time job. And finally, we know that, of course, right now, no in-person interviews are taking place. So some of this overlap here is that, as I mentioned at the very beginning of the presentation, if you were with us, most of the advice remains the same. Job searching, our job searching and our internship searching tips for prior to COVID-19 are the same search tips that we give you for during COVID-19, because you can still be networking and still reaching out to employers, even if they're on a hiring freeze. Now is the time to get your foot in the door and stand out really from other people that are holding off. So one of the most common questions I've been hearing in my appointments with students is, should I be even looking for a job right now? Should I just be waiting to search for an internship because nobody's hiring? And the answer to that is no. You should not be waiting. Now is the time to be talking to people, to be introducing yourself. Of course, be flexible and understanding, but now is the time for you to really show who you are and show how resilient you are and show your interest in working with them. Even if they're on a hiring freeze and they can't hire you, this situation will not go on forever. The dust will settle and you don't want to be left behind. You want to make sure that people know you. And like I said, there are many companies that are actually still hiring and have actually increased hiring. So it's really important that you're not, I hate to say it, but like shooting yourself in the foot by not applying for jobs right now or not networking right now. It's really important that you keep looking. So just a quick overview. We're going to dive deep into this, don't worry. Just a quick overview of some tips for job and internship searching. As I've said a couple times already, we do have one-on-one appointments where we can, a career coach like myself can actually just sit down with you through Zoom and talk about your career goals. If you're not sure what you want to do yet, we can help you figure that out. If you do know what you want to do and you just need a little bit more support in getting there, we can help you with that. And for those of you that are not graduating this May, we are offering a summer course of CAR 401. So this is a job search strategies class that actually will deep dive over, it's usually a 7-week course, so I'm pretty sure that over the summer it will still be 7 weeks, not the whole summer, that will deep dive into the job and internship search process. So again, if you're graduating in May, congratulations. If you're not graduating in May, you might consider taking that class. And for those of you that are maybe not sure what you want to do yet, we actually have another section of this course called CAR 201, and that's a career exploration class. So 7 weeks, all about figuring out what you want to do, and that's CAR 201. I didn't put that on the slide because, as I said, today is more about job and internship searching, but ask me any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Our next tip is conducting informational interviews. So we'll talk more about that, but if you haven't heard of that before, it's basically just reaching out to introduce yourself to professionals, get your foot in the door, and ask them any questions you have about their occupation. You can utilize your family, your friends, your faculty, I call these the 3 Fs, as professional networking connections. It doesn't just have to be people that have, the job that you want to have. Sometimes people feel like weird about talking to their family friends, but don't feel weird about that. People don't know you're looking for a job, and they don't know that you need help unless you ask them. And it's not weird to do that because most people, especially right now, I think, are actually really happy to help recent grads, I'd say, or current students, because they've been there and they can relate to that. So whenever I'm doing an informational interview or coaching somebody on doing an informational interview, I always recommend that you play up anything that you have in common with them. So if you went to the same school, or you're a friend or family friend, or make sure that you use ego boosting questions and let them know you're really excited to learn about them and learn about their background and their organization, because people sometimes like to talk about themselves. So that's a good tactic there. Right now, it may not be possible to volunteer or conduct research unless you can do it remotely, or maybe you're volunteering with healthcare, but volunteering, conducting research, and of course your hobbies and non-academic interests are all a great way to open the door to potential opportunities that could be paid. So I always recommend, especially for those of you that are maybe not quite sure what you want to do yet, pay attention to your non-academic interests. Pay attention to what classes you like and what classes you don't like. And don't be afraid to talk to people that are in your organizations or that volunteer with you or what have you, because they have a shared interest with you and they may know of other opportunities. I can't tell you how many people I talk to tell me that they found their internship through a friend. Our marketing intern right now is amazing, and I'm pretty sure that she found her internship through a sorority sister. That was one of our previous interns. So it's not all about who you know, I'd say. It's all about who knows you, if that makes sense. You want to make sure people know who you are. That being said, chance events are also equally important. You can't always predict where an opportunity will come from. So you want to be putting yourself in a position to have those chance events by engaging in activities, which I know right now may or may not be possible. And then we'll really focus a lot today on these last couple things here, optimizing your online profiles, whether it's LinkedIn or Handshake. This is critical. I have been hearing increasingly from students that they're just being reached out to by employers based on their profile on LinkedIn or based on their profile on Handshake without them even having to do anything. They didn't even apply. Like, an employer just saw their profile and was impressed and reached out to them. So more and more often this is happening, and you want to make sure that your profiles look really good on these platforms and are strategically using keywords, which we'll talk about, to make sure that you're getting clicked or recruited without you even really having to do much. And that being said, if you are actively engaging in a job or an internship search, I can guarantee you these recruiters and employers are looking at your online profiles on LinkedIn and Handshake, so you want to make sure they look really good. Of course, you want to strengthen your resume and cover letter. Now is a great time to be really focusing on polishing those materials up they're really important because before a human typically even looks at your resume and cover letter, it's going to go through an applicant tracking system. And if you've never heard of an applicant tracking system before, basically this is just a computer artificial intelligence algorithm that's going to scan your resume and cover letter for keywords. And it will prioritize you and the job application system based on how well you match the keywords in that job or internship posting. So Workday, for example, if any of you have applied for an on-campus job, Workday is an applicant tracking system, and it's scanning your resume and cover letter for keywords. And pretty much every organization is using some form of applicant tracking software nowadays. So you want to make sure that your resume and cover letter match each job posting specifically by using keywords from that posting in your material. And we will talk about that more. And then finally, shameless self-plug, you should attend our career services events and workshops, just like you're attending today. So we still have a variety of events and workshops coming up. Tomorrow, we actually have a virtual job fair. So really exciting things to take advantage of, even remotely. I do want to add that, with everything going on right now, COVID-19 wise, some of you may have a goal or a plan or a certain path that you wanted to pursue that unfortunately just is not an option. So for example, let's say you really wanted to be a travel agent, let's just say, and that was your dream job. Nobody's really traveling right now. I was just working with an alumni the other week who she wants to be a pilot. And I mean, nobody's flying anywhere right now. So she has to go to pilot school so she could still do that, but it may not be the best time to follow that goal. So I wanted to point out that I want you to be happy. I want you to find your dream job. And so it's really important to follow your passions, but it is equally important to understand reality and limitations. So that being said, I'm not here to tell you you have to work with Amazon or anything like that. I'm here to help you learn the most effective job and internship searching strategies possible. That way you can find the job for yourself. And we do have, recruiters that are still telling us that they're hiring. For example, Sparksu, which is a marketing agency, they are looking to fill, I believe, 2 marketing roles right now. So like I said, there are many companies, many industries that are still hiring, but I do think that it is more so now than ever really important to have a plan B, and that's okay. So most importantly, just to wrap this slide up, stay positive and be flexible and keep looking. You don't want to stop looking, and you can do this. And there's some minions, they're very excited and happy. We're here to help you. All right. So now we're going to talk more specifically about my top 3 tips for you as you engage in your job or internship search, specifically during the COVID-19 pandemic. So tip number 1 is looking for jobs and internships online, but doing so effectively and strategically. So often what I hear from students and alumni is that they are, and this is a direct quote, like I've applied for 50 jobs and I haven't heard back. What am I doing wrong? Or I've applied for 30 jobs and I haven't heard back. What am I doing wrong? And it's probably that you're using the same resume and cover letter for every position, and you're just applying on Indeed and clicking upload, submit, apply, upload, submit, apply. You're using the same material and you're not reaching out and introducing yourself to people because you're just applying for as many jobs or internships as possible. So if that resonates with any of you and you're thinking like, oh yeah, I am using the same material, or yeah, I'm not really reaching out to anybody, then stay tuned because I have tips. And if you are already tailoring your material and you are reaching out to people, also stay tuned because I'm going to make sure that you're doing that in the most effective way possible. And it is possible that some of you are doing absolutely everything right. I've talked to many students, some of our own career services employees, as like student employees, who are doing everything right and still not hearing back. So again, that is possible, and that is why having a plan B is important. And regardless of where you feel like you identify in this process, we are here to help you. So under normal circumstances, pre-COVID, job and internship searching can take as long as 6 months to a year. And again, under normal circumstances, job and internship searching can be as quick as 2 to 4 months. So now with COVID-19, of course, it may be extended. We do know that some companies are postponing start dates. And like I said at the beginning, some are on hiring freezes. So realistically, it could take longer, which again, just going back to having a potential backup plan in place if you know that you need to find a job or an internship right away. So just so you know though, the pre-COVID-19 6 months to a year, often sometimes job searching and internship searching may take longer for factors that are out of your control. For example, some industries just move slower than others. If any of you are thinking you might want to pursue a career in government, government is notorious for moving very slow because there's a lot of hoops you have to jump through, background checks, that sort of thing. And at the same time, some people may be experiencing a longer internship or job search because their material isn't tailored. Like I said, you're just using the same resume. And so therefore you're not matching those keywords that the applicant tracking system is looking for, or you're not reaching out and introducing yourself. So there's really nobody on the inside that's pulling your application out of that pile. So that's why it could take a little longer. And for the people that it falls in that 2 to 4 month range, they're usually either very, very lucky or they have been taking those steps. And even with COVID-19, you can still be taking these steps to move forward in your job and internship search process. You can see that graphic on the side there with my Bitmoji, just illustrating that only 20% of jobs and internships are actually posted on the internet. The other 80% are found through word of mouth and through talking to people. So many students and alumni don't know this, but if you're spending all of your time looking on Handshake or Indeed or LinkedIn, you're actually not searching as effectively as you could be if you were engaging in networking. So that being said, the pie chart illustrates how you want to spend your time. So the majority of your time should really be spent on networking and reaching out to people. And don't worry, we will talk about this more. But just so you know, kind of as a general tip in the beginning, networking is very important. Now, I do want to add here, you still want to be looking for jobs online. You still want to be spending time on your resume and your material, but networking is the most important. So we have some resources here in our office that you can take advantage of remotely to help you prepare for your job and internship search. As I mentioned, Handshake, you can schedule appointments and look at events that we have coming up and apply for jobs and internships. If you haven't used Handshake before, we've got a whole jobs tab that tells you about jobs and internships that are available. And what's nice about Handshake over Indeed or LinkedIn or Glassdoor or any other job searching websites that are out there is that we painstakingly vet each job and internship that is posted on this platform. So we make sure that there are no fake jobs or anything like that. And if we do come across one, we take it down immediately. So you know that there's kind of that safety net there. Also, employers have to select from a list of schools which ones they want to recruit from. So if you're seeing a job or an internship posted on Handshake, that means that employer specifically chose to recruit from the University of Tampa. So already you have kind of a leg up over a job that you find on LinkedIn or Indeed, where that's just available to anybody. Anybody can see that. So this is a great place to look for those kind of fresh out of school positions. Quincia is our newer platform, and this is not a job searching website or anything you can use to make appointments. What Quincia is an artificial intelligence system that can scan your resume to make sure that it's going to get through those applicant tracking systems that I was talking about. You can also practice for your interview on Quincia. And Quincia is super neat, especially right now, because it uses artificial intelligence to do a virtual mock interview with you. And we know that with COVID-19, you're not going to be able to have those interviews in person. So they're either going to be taking place over the phone, which you can just see, I tried to my phone, or they're going to be taking place through Zoom. And some organizations do have you like pre-record your interview. So the Quincia platform can help you get a little bit more comfortable and confident doing a mock interview with an artificial intelligence system. And it actually like scans your eye contact. It knows if you're wearing professional attire, and it will monitor how often you use filler words. In order to do that, you'll have to email Jen Kim, but at the end of the presentation, I'll give you his email if that sounds like something you're interested in. So I did mention that on Handshake, you can see some of our upcoming events and workshops. As I said, tomorrow from 10 to 7, there's going to be 2 sessions. We are working with the Florida Association of Colleges and Employers to put on a virtual job fair. So this is really awesome. You can see there just a quick glimpse of some of the companies that will be participating. And on Handshake, if you go to the events tab, you can actually click on this job fair and the event register, see all the Zoom links that you'll need to get access to attend. Make sure that you wear professional attire because it is a job fair, even though it's virtual. And there are 2 sessions. One's from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time, and one is from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern time. Also tomorrow from 4:15 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern time, the Franklin Templeton, which is in the finance industry, is going to be having some webinar talks about job opportunities at the organization and what they do. So if you're interested in finance, you might want to consider joining that. So the virtual career fair, if you're interested in that, you can find more information on Handshake. Right here at the bottom of this slide, it says ut.joinhandshake.com. You just log in, and I will actually end this screen share really quickly so I can pull up Handshake and demonstrate how you can find these other upcoming events like the Sheriff's Office Virtual Open House. Or equally exciting, our Board of Counselors is going to be talking about launching your career during the COVID-19 pandemic. So really quickly here, I am going to share my screen so that I can show you Handshake. Thank you guys for bearing with me. I am just going to have to switch to my student account on Handshake. You guys don't have access to the career administrative side. So when you log on to Handshake, ut.joinhandshake.com, this is what you'll see. This is your homepage, and you just log in with your Spartan email and your password. And once you're in, you can see right here at the top, we've got a jobs tab, an events tab, and our career center tab. So if you're interested in seeing more of those upcoming events, you can click the events tab right here, and then it will list all of our upcoming ones. But if you're looking for a specific, let's just say the virtual career fair, then I'm going to type in here. I'm going to just type in job fair. Let's see. So you can actually see there's a couple in June, but I did not pull the right one. So let me just click fair search rather than typing it in. And it's not coming up. So I'm actually really glad that I did this. Florida ACE. Let me try that under upcoming events. I want to make sure that you guys can actually find this. I'm going to put it in the main search bar. There's a couple different ways to look. Alyssa, are you on right now? I know that your mic is off. Do you mind turning your, yep, hey Alyssa, how can you find the
let me navigate over to my Handshake, but I'm pretty sure it's just under events and then virtual fair. Give me one sec.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Florida ACE is actually one word. So kind of tricky, but under the events, yeah.
Okay, so should I have just scrolled right there, right in front of my face? Thank you. So it is one word, and that was the mistake that I made. So I'm glad Alyssa was on this call, but yes, it's right there. And if you click it, you can see some of the employers that are attending, and we are partnering with Florida ACE on this, so it won't be a registration through Handshake, but you can register right there, and it will give you all those Zoom links that you need. And again, this is a job fair, so if you're interested, you want to make sure you wear professional attire. And for those of you that want to use Handshake to look for jobs and internships, if you click that jobs tab at the top, it reveals some filters for you, like internship, if you're looking just for an internship, or you can select full-time job, and you can go into the filters and add even more. So for example, if you are an international student and you need OPT or CPT, you can select that. And finally, to schedule an appointment, if you come to the Career Center tab, you can click Appointments and then schedule a new appointment. And this is how you will see the variety of different topics that we can support you with. Going to go back into the presentation now. I'm really glad that I took a second to actually show you that. Okay, so hopefully, Alyssa, are you guys seeing Handshake again, or are you seeing my PowerPoint slide?
Nope, your PowerPoint just popped up.
Okay, good, I'm so glad. All right, so moving right along, I want to make sure that we're staying on track here. but let me take a quick second and look at my chat and just see these other questions that I know came up. I'll respond to your questions in just a moment. Thank you guys for bearing with me. So my next tip here is you want to make sure that your material is tailored. So as I mentioned, it's very important to have a well-written cover letter and resume that are using keywords from the job posting. And secondly, you want to optimize your Handshake and LinkedIn profiles because as I mentioned, increasingly we're hearing from employers that they are using or they're using your profiles to just reach out to you based on a keyword search. So without you even having to apply. And if you have already applied for a job or an internship, it's very critical that you have a good looking profile because they will be checking that. So firstly, it's good for you to know that your resume it's not the only thing you need to get a job. Sometimes people think they upload their resume and then that's it. You're going to get the job or the internship, but there's a whole nother piece. It's the interview. So the resume and the cover letter are really just a pre-screening tool for them to decide if they want to offer you an interview. So that being said, I wanted to take a second and get a sense of where you guys stand with your preferences regarding resumes by asking you, who would you interview? So we've got this resume here and this resume there. Now, if you were a hiring manager, who would you rather offer an interview to? Just holistically, just based on skimming their resume. Please use the chat to let me know if you'd rather interview person A or person B. Let me get my chat here. Okay, awesome. A lot of B's, great, great. Awesome. Okay, cool. So, I didn't mean to skip slides there. All right, everybody, for the most part, said B. I did see a few A's, and I just want to point out here that B is the better resume, and it's because it has more detail. So the resume A, it's easy to skim through, and I think that's why sometimes people choose it because it's easier to read, it's easier to look at. But remember that it is going through an applicant tracking system, and the applicant tracking system has to see these keywords. So option A just doesn't have enough keywords on there. It's pretty blank, and they're not making very many consistent choices. Like they have dates in different places. It's not easy to see where information is. Whereas option B is a lot more organized. It's very clear, like they're very consistent with their formatting choices, and it does have more detailed descriptions. So now I want to let you know what I have heard from employers about resumes. Number one, keep it simple. So sometimes this is confusing because definitely resume A is more simple, but it just doesn't have enough detail on it. So keep it clean and keep it consistent, and in that sense simple, but make sure you're giving them enough of a description of your skills. Number two, use those words from the job posting and emphasize your transferable skills. So sometimes people are like, I just don't have any experience in this industry, but you have experience from your classes, from your clubs that you're a part of, and all of that counts as experience. It doesn't have to be paid. So you can use that too. More than one page is all right if you have enough experience that's relevant, but for the most part, you really just want to stick with that one-page resume if you can. And know that they are only spending the same amount of time that we just spent looking at those resumes as they look at your resume. So it's usually like 10 to 15 seconds. If they like what they see, maybe they'll spend a minute. But it's a pretty quick glance. So it's the applicant tracking system that really needs those keywords. And then the top reasons they reject resumes are for missing dates, misspelled words, and then just unorganized format and length and things like that, or not enough detailed description. So those are all topics that we can help you with a resume review. If you looked at those resumes and you're like, my resume looks like option A. And then just really quickly here, the main difference between a resume and a cover letter, sometimes people are confused by this. The main thing for you to remember is that a resume lists your past experiences and skills, whereas a cover letter describes your past experiences and how they specifically relate to that job. So the resume is like bullet points, whereas your cover letter is 3 paragraphs. And if you've got any questions about that, again, I'd highly encourage you to make a one-on-one appointment and we can talk about that with you. So I'm going to skip through this next cover letter slide just for the sake of time and just kind of wrap this up here and remind you that, again, now is the time to be working on your material, and we're happy to help you with that. And references, sometimes people ask me about references. This shouldn't be on your resume. This should be a separate document. It's a great idea now to be thinking about who you want your references to be. Whether it's a faculty member, a family friend, a previous supervisor, those are all great options, and you definitely want to be thinking about that now and asking them if they'd be willing to be a reference for you before you actually meet them. And then I wanted to talk about optimizing your Handshake and LinkedIn profiles. As I mentioned, this is becoming very, very important, and many employers are actually looking at this first before they decide if they want to interview you. So these are tips for developing your LinkedIn profile, but they also apply to developing your Handshake profile. So on Handshake, you can actually build yourself a profile, and that's really critical for applying for jobs and internships through that system. They will click onto your profile. So you want to make sure both of these look good. And again, if you don't actually have a LinkedIn account yet, that's okay. I recommend that you make one. They're totally free. There is a version that you can pay for, but I don't even pay for it. I don't think you have to. But if you don't have one yet and you're feeling a little uncomfortable about the idea of making one, just sit tight because we'll talk about that here in a second. So number one, make sure you've got a professional headshot. Unfortunately, since we are working remotely, we're not taking headshots right now, but typically taking professional headshots is a service that we offer. Our lovely marketing interns take these and they come out awesome. But for the time being, if you have a family member or friend that you're, a roommate, you can have them take a picture with your phone, and this works just as well. Just make sure it's from the shoulders up. Your headline on LinkedIn is really critical. This is what goes under your profile picture, and it's the first thing people see. So you want to make sure that you're catching their attention with a headline that represents the job you want, not necessarily the job you have. So for example, if you are let's say you work at Publix, but you want to work in marketing, you don't want your headline to be cashier at Publix. You want it to be aspiring marketing professional, or just marketing keywords like marketing, advertising, public relations. You want, or marketing student at the University of Tampa. You want it to be something that relates to those goals. You can have keywords throughout your profile, but the first thing at the top after your headshot and your headline is your about section. And your about section should be filled with those keywords, just giving them a summary of who you are and what you're all about. LinkedIn, on LinkedIn, it's okay to use personal pronouns like I, me, and my. Those are generally frowned upon on your resume because that's just kind of a style. You just jump into action words. But on LinkedIn, recruiters have told me that they like to see personal pronouns like I, me, and my because it personalizes a little bit. So that's kind of one of those differences there. And as I mentioned on your resume, it doesn't just have to be work experience that you put. You can include volunteer activities, clubs that you've been a part of, and other things that have not been paid. That's all great experience that they want to see, and you can feature that on LinkedIn too. And finally, one of the cool features on LinkedIn is that you can actually request a recommendation through LinkedIn if you have a LinkedIn connection with them, and you can feature that on your profile. And that just enhances your credibility. I know that was a quick overview. This presentation only goes till 4:30, so I'm just gonna pick up the pace a bit. As I mentioned though, after 4:30, I will stay on the line if you have any questions. So networking virtually. Networking is kind of a scary word. Sometimes people don't really like the idea of networking, and I'll be honest, like it's uncomfortable for me too. But just to clarify, networking is about making and maintaining and leveraging your connections to help you achieve your goals, and also to help other people achieve their goals too. It doesn't just have to be one-sided. Like I said, many of the students I've worked with find their internships through friends, and you could be that friend that helps somebody else find a great opportunity. So sometimes people focus on networking as just like making a connection, but it's also about maintaining and using that connection and helping your connections too. I feel like the word using has a bit of a negative connotation. Anybody can be a great connection. As I mentioned, there's those 3 F's: your faculty, your family, your friends. It's not always easy to know what to say or to ask for networking, like to ask them for an informational interview. So we're happy to help you with that. We have a variety of resources on our website that actually give you tips on how to phrase things. So I highly recommend taking a look at ut.edu/career to see those. And remember, as I mentioned again, your profiles are really important. So you want to be monitoring your professionalism on those. And LinkedIn, I want to acknowledge that the best way to use LinkedIn is not to just straight out ask somebody to hire you. Sometimes people think it's really uncomfortable to use LinkedIn because it's kind of creepy or weird to contact people or look at people's profiles that you don't actually know. And it is hard to do that. It's uncomfortable to reach out to people you don't know, but it's not creepy or weird because that's the whole purpose of LinkedIn. Its mission statement is literally to connect professionals to grow your network. So you are using LinkedIn right if you're reaching out to people that you don't know, to build your network, to ask for an informational interview. And now is the time to be doing that, because although some, like I've heard from a lot of students that like maybe now isn't the time to reach out to people because they're very busy and it's a crazy situation, but actually the opposite. Now is a great time to reach out to people because they may have more time on their hands to respond. And you can acknowledge the COVID-19 situation. You can say like, I hope you're doing well and staying safe. I'd love to connect with you. Thank you so much, your name. It's very brief when you add a little note on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn, just really quick, here's some stats. These are all from 2020, except for that last one at the bottom, that 39 million, that's data from 2018. LinkedIn is really awesome. I used to not be a huge fan because I thought it was awkward, but LinkedIn is actually incredible because you can use it not just to look at open and available internships and jobs, but really to get to know other professionals. And like I said at the beginning of this presentation, networking is the most important thing when it comes to a job or internship search, because that's who's going to hire you. You're going to just be sitting in that pool of applications unless you've talked to somebody that works there. And it's not always clear who you should be talking to or reaching out to, but on LinkedIn, you can directly type in a company name and search for people that work there. You can put in the keyword of human resources or recruiter and specifically find a recruiter that works at that company and reach out to them. Or you can specifically reach out to people in a certain department at a company. So it's a really great way to follow up after applying for a job or an internship, as well as a way to just explore career options. So if you're not sure what you want to do yet, or you think you know and you want to get your foot in the door somewhere, but you haven't found a job or an internship online, you can, again, go to that company's page and talk to people that work there by sending them a note on LinkedIn. Or you can just keep your filters a little bit more general and not put a specific company's name, but just choose a certain industry and type in a certain keyword. Also, I like to point out that students and recent grads are the fastest growing demographic on LinkedIn. So over two people every second create a LinkedIn account. So if you don't already have a LinkedIn account, I really highly encourage you to create one. And again, today's presentation is just, there's so much to cover. I can't really go through the ins and outs of LinkedIn, but I'd love to have a one-on-one appointment with you and help you really understand how to use this platform to the best of its ability to effectively job and internship search. I kind of alluded to this if I didn't explicitly state it already, but you want to add a note on LinkedIn when you send a connection request. So when you look for people, it will give you the option to click connect, but instead of clicking connect, what you want to do is go to their profile and then click connect from their profile. That's a little weird to say rather than visually show you, but the reason is because the only way you can consistently be able to add a note is if you connect with them from their profile page. And adding a note is just proper etiquette. That's going to give you a chance to introduce yourself, let them know what you share in common with them, which again is going to make them more likely to reply. If you don't have something in common with them, let them know why you're reaching out to them. Show them that you're interested in learning about them, and they're more likely to accept your request and reply to you. So that being said, what do you say to actually get a job or an internship and make that connection? And I want to give you an example of what that looks like. So knowing what to say and how to say it can be a little awkward, but the main thing to keep in mind is you want to let them know who you are and be confident. And remember that this is brief. So LinkedIn actually has a character count on how many words you can use when you're adding a note. So I would really just stick with, hi, my name's Elena. I'm a junior at the University of Tampa. And I see that you work in such and such role, if it's more about what they do. If it's more about the company they work for, then you'd say, I see that you work for such and such organization. And then let them know your goals or your interests. You might say I'm considering pursuing a career in this industry, or I'm really interested in that career path myself. I'd love to learn more about what you do and how you got there. So again, those ego boosting, like you're trying to learn about them. And then that is also simultaneously including your call to action, that you're letting them know right off the bat what you're asking for. You're saying, I'd love to learn more about what you do and how you got there. And then just say, thank you, Elena. And the way LinkedIn works is they'll see your note when they see your request for a connection, but if they just click accept, it won't prompt them to reply to that note. So don't be disheartened if you don't get a response to that note that you worked really hard on. Just send them a message. So once they're connected with you, you can actually direct message them. And you can click the messaging center and say, hi, thank you so much for connecting with me. I really would love to learn more about what you do. Would you be open to having an informational interview with me through LinkedIn or through email or through Zoom? And then see what they say. I usually give people about a week to 2 weeks to reply. Hopefully, like I said, right now, I feel like there's an increased response rate. So don't be afraid to reach out and introduce yourself. If you already have an elevator pitch, this is a great opportunity to use that. Typically in like written form, they're about 5 to 7 sentences, which is really long for a LinkedIn note. But if you're emailing a faculty member or a family friend, this is a great thing to use to let them know a little bit about you and why you're reaching out to them. Also on LinkedIn, for your about section at the top, you can just put your elevator pitch right there. So I just wanted to point that out. And now finally, how to use LinkedIn. So this is the presentation on how to use LinkedIn itself is an hour long. And I recognize that we only have 5 minutes left. So before I dive into this, if you have not already completed the attendance survey, please do so. I'm going to copy that link again here into the chat. So that's the link. Again, you cannot click it. You actually have to copy and paste it into your web browser to fill this out. Please fill this out. We really appreciate it. It's going to help us stay in touch with you. And I want to make sure that I'm actually showing you a little bit of how to use LinkedIn. So I'm going to transition to that in our remaining time here. But I do want to quickly point out that it's very important to follow up. So you can use LinkedIn to follow up about a job or an internship if you have already applied for one, but you're not sure who to reach out to. I can show you how to do that. And you can also use this. You can also follow up through email if you do know how to reach out to people. But you can use this to follow up about just in general questions that you have about occupations. So it's got 2 really cool uses. And then lastly, if you were excited about Quincia and you're interested in using this platform to practice your interviewing questions in a virtual way, especially with now everything moving to virtual setting, please email Jen Kim. He's our career readiness coach, and that's his email right there, jwkim@ut.edu. He's awesome, and he can make sure that you get access to Quincia if you're interested. So I'm going to, in the last couple minutes here, go through a very quick LinkedIn demonstration. And I do recognize that it is about 4:30. So if any of you are, got a class to run to, or you're not interested in seeing that demonstration, feel free to hop off now. That's okay. You will not hurt my feelings. And if you want to stay, I'd be delighted to walk you through that. And just so you can see here that this is just kind of our summary slide. Please remember, if you don't take away anything else from this presentation today, people are still hiring. We do know that some have cut back on hiring and some offers are being rescinded. But that being said, there are still job opportunities and internship opportunities out there. And now is the time to keep your chin up, stay positive, and keep looking. So you don't want to be left behind. And we're happy to help you with all of this through our events and workshops like this, our job fair coming up tomorrow. Again, there's information about that on Handshake, and you can always schedule those one-on-one appointments through Handshake. So I look forward to meeting with many of you soon. Now I'm going to transition to the LinkedIn demonstration. And as I said, I know that it is 4:30, so if any of you have to go, that's okay, I understand. I'm just gonna do this in like 3-ish minutes, and I'm happy to answer any other questions you have. So hopefully now you're seeing my LinkedIn screen. I do already have a LinkedIn account. If you do not have one, like I said, it's free to create, and you can as you create it, if you haven't made one yet, I'd recommend that you use your personal email address rather than your Spartan email address, because your Spartan email address after you graduate, I think you only have access to it for a year after graduation. And if you ever have to reset your password, people are always forgetting those things, myself included. You want to make sure that it's your personal email address. And if you're just creating it, when you make your account, it will prompt you to connect with your email and phone contacts. So it's up to you if you want to accept that request or that recommendation to just automatically send a connection request to your email and phone contacts. I think when I set mine up, I did do that, but you don't have to. On here, you can see there's a tab called My Network, and you can just scroll through here, see if there's anybody you know, click, 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 connect with them. So as I mentioned, if you click connect straight from here, it's not going to allow you to add a note. I'm going to show you by connecting with Tim. It's just going to automatically send that request pending right there. So if I wanted to add a note to somebody, I'm just going to randomly choose Jenna. If I wanted to connect with Jenna, but I was like, ooh, she works at Raymond James. Gosh, I'm really interested in working with Raymond James. I want to make sure that I'm being really professional and polite and opening a door with her. Then you wouldn't just want to click connect from there. You'd want to come to her profile and click connect here, because now you can add that note. And this is where you would say, hello, my name's Elena. I'm studying finance at the University of Tampa. I see you work with Raymond James, and as an account manager, I'd really love to learn more about what you do. Thank you so much for connecting with me. I hope you're staying well during this challenging time. Elena. And then send the invitation. So some people are feeling a little worried that, again, now is not an appropriate time to be bothering people with this, but I challenge you to go out of your comfort zone and still send those messages and acknowledge that this is a challenging time in those notes to them if you'd like to. So I'm not actually going to connect with her, but that's how you do it. So coming over here, actually going back to the homepage, I kind of think it looks like Facebook a little bit. But just so you know, LinkedIn is not Facebook. It's not Instagram. It's not weird when you get a request from somebody that you don't know, like it kind of is on Facebook or Instagram. I'm always excited when I get a connection request from somebody I don't know, because that means that I'm using LinkedIn right. I'm building my network. Ah, ha, ha, ha. And see here, Ryan sent me a note. So he's just a recruiter, but this is, I'm really glad that he sent me a note, because you can see right here, it pops up as a little banner. So I see that he sent me a note, but if I click accept, it just removes him from then it pops up as a message here. So perfect. I'm not going to reply to him right now, but that is a great example to show you what will happen when you send somebody a note. And they may not reply right away, just like I didn't reply to Ryan, but once you're connected, you can go into the messaging center and send them a direct message. And recruiters will use LinkedIn to contact you. So, I mean, that's kind of, sometimes it's spammy, sometimes it's great. And that's the whole point of LinkedIn. You know, you want to be building your brand, putting your name out there, and getting connected with job and internship opportunities. So it's okay if somebody sends you a request like that. I usually reply to them and just say, like, thanks, I'm not interested. So continuing on the demonstration here, if you're interested in searching for people or jobs, you can click right into that search bar and click people or jobs. You can look up a company directly. Also, they do have a jobs tab just like Handshake does. So you can click that jobs tab and search for positions. You could put in a keyword here or a location. You could also put in the keyword of internship if you're looking for an internship. This is fairly intuitive, so I'm not going to spend much time here, but play around with that. Again, a pro of Handshake over LinkedIn is that you know that the jobs that are posted on Handshake were posted by employers that want to recruit from UT, whereas just everybody on the planet can post on LinkedIn. So you have a little bit of an advantage with jobs and internships on Handshake, but I will be the first to admit that not every position is available on there, especially if you're interested in anything creative or perhaps marine science. I feel like there's a lack of those types of jobs on Handshake, so that's where LinkedIn comes really in handy. I'm gonna go to my profile now. So there's Alyssa again. You can see I have a little bit of a fun cover photo. I think that one of the things that makes LinkedIn special is that it is social media. It's a professional social media, so it's my office here, but we're having fun. So, you know, take this with a grain of salt. Like, you can show a little bit of your personality on LinkedIn and let people know who you are and what you're about, but it's still got to be professional. And sometimes I'll see the ocean. Back, gosh, I'm so sorry. I froze there for a second. But that's just a good cue for me to start wrapping things up. Hopefully you all can hear me. Somebody let me know if you can't hear me. I'm going to just go ahead and keep.
We can hear you now. You're good.
Thanks, Alyssa. I appreciate that. And I'm sorry, everybody. That's my cue to wrap things up. But on your profile, you can see here, it allows you to add experience. You can add your about section. And mine's long. I'm very wordy. You do not have to be that wordy on here. But you do want to have some content. So what I like to do is just copy and paste stuff from my resume. You can add where you worked and then make sure that you put some bullet points, or you can use sentences. That's one of the differences. As I mentioned, LinkedIn, you can actually use personal pronouns like I, me, and my, whereas on your resume, you would just use these bullet point statements. So I chose to play it safe and just copy and paste them. But in my about section, I do use personal pronouns. And I find that that just personalizes it and makes it friendlier. The headline is very important. So this is, again, what catches people's eye and makes them come to your profile. Because, as you can see under the My Network tab, the first things you see are their profile picture, their headshot, and then their headline. So you really want this to stand out and make somebody want to click your profile, let them know right off the bat what you're all about. So here's some great examples: pursuing a finance degree. Now, sorry, Cole, I'm going to pick on him. Student at the University of Tampa doesn't really let me know what he's interested in. And so if I was a recruiter, I mean, I still might click his profile because he looks professional here and I might just want to hire a student, but I'm not getting a sense of what his career goals are or what his focus is. People will often do their current position title, as I have, but if you're job searching, I encourage you to maybe just use some keywords. So as I'm scrolling here, I'm not really seeing anybody using the keyword approach. Actually, Crystal kind of is. So Crystal, she's a fellow career coach. And instead of saying career coach, she's saying career strategist and educator. So it's just a little bit more general, but still specific on the industry and the keywords. It's a little bit of a weird concept to wrap your head around. But again, if you have more specific questions about that one-on-one, I'm happy to help you brainstorm a good headline. And you can also just do your degree title, like Bachelor of Science in Finance or Marketing, whatever. So lastly, if you click into that search bar and click people, this is how you can utilize LinkedIn to, instead of looking for jobs, really to look for people. So first thing I like to do is add a location. So if you know you want to stay in Tampa, you can look in Tampa. If you are from New York and you want a job or an internship in New York, you can click that. I'm going to click Tampa. Now we're seeing all the LinkedIn users in Tampa, and it's over 1 million. So we do want to refine that. So I'm going to come into all filters, and let's say I want to work in marketing and advertising. You can click that, but if you don't see what you want and you want to type it in, like public relations, you can click that instead. And as you can see, you are allowed to select multiple boxes here. So I like to run my search one at a time. I feel like I personally just get overwhelmed. And there's, as you saw, 1 million people. This is still 28,000. So I think that running different searches with just one criteria at a time makes it a little bit more manageable. So in Tampa, there's marketing and advertising. Now, weirdly, this functions as a keyword search box. So let's say you really want to be an advertising specialist and you're looking to network an informational interview with fellow advertising or marketing specialists. Now I've typed in that keyword because I have some filters selected. It knows now that I'm refining my search, and now we're only seeing 4,000 people. But that's still a lot to scroll through. So scrolling back into the all filters, I'm going to select the University of Tampa as the school, because now it's going to show me people that I have something in common with. Now that's narrowed it down to 156 results. Some of these results may be current students. So Juliet, for example, and she's done a great job here. She's got different keywords as her headline because the University of Tampa is on her profile. So clicking that option may show you faculty members, may show you staff members, may show you students, as well as alumni. So this is just a quick example of how to look for people that you might want to reach out to. You can click their profile, click connect to add a note, and model your profile after theirs if you like what you see. And then finally, you can go directly to a company's page on LinkedIn by using the search bar to type in Disney, Amazon, Google. I'm just showing you with the University of Tampa. So if I were clicking on a company's page, on this left-hand bar, instead of seeing alumni, I'd see people or employees, but because this is a school, I'm seeing alumni. So if it was a company, you'd be seeing their employees. But here I'm seeing alumni. And again, you can look for people that you share something in common with or that have the job that you want to have and reach out to them for informational interviews. So I just put in like marketing specialist and I'm clicking Tampa, and we can see that there are 1,000 alumni in the Tampa area that have something related to marketing specialist on their profile. And I can even add degrees or other industry information. You could search for a specific company by putting that in there. So there's lots of really incredible ways to use this platform. And this is really just skimming the surface of it. But that being said, I do want to be cognizant of your time and my time and make sure that I'm answering any other questions that you have. And just to be honest with you, the answer may be make an individual appointment, but I am going to hang out here the next 5 minutes or so, and happy to stay on if you'd like to chat. And finally, thank you so much for joining me and Alyssa this afternoon. It was a real pleasure to share with you, and I just appreciate you taking the time, and please know that we are here for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Thank you to those of you saying thank you.
So like, I don't know, I saw this tweet the other day that was like, men apply to jobs where they only meet like 40% of the requirements, and women are like 80% and above, they'll apply. Like anything below that they won't. So like, what is the threshold of being like, oh, well, like I reached some of these requirements, not all of them?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I actually have seen that previously before as well. And whenever I have an appointment with like female identifying people, I always say that. Actually, Danny, that's so funny because I always tell them, like, if you were a guy, you might be applying for this right now. And women do have a tendency to, as I say, shoot themselves in the foot and not apply for a job that they potentially could have gotten at least an interview for, whereas guys may not have that hesitancy. And that's painting with a very broad brush, but statistically we do see that. So I want to make sure I'm answering your question specifically. So Danny, do you mind repeating it? Like what you're kind of wondering what the threshold is for deciding whether or not to apply?
Yeah, or like what would be certain requirements that it's like okay to not have, or other ones that it's like, no, you definitely should have this if you want to apply. Like what, like I don't really know what to ask, because I don't know, like.
Yeah, you don't know exactly. I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's confusing and complicated. So my general rule of thumb is if it's job postings or internship postings will say like required and then preferred qualifications typically. So if you're noticing that there's like 2 or 3 requirements that you're missing, then it may not work out. And like just strategically for you, if you're really looking for a job and your time is valuable and the time that you could be saving by not applying for this is taking away time from applying for another one that maybe you are a better fit for, I'd say don't apply. But if you're looking at the preferred qualifications and you're noticing that like those are the ones that you're not really meeting their recommendations or, you know, preferences for, then those are just preferred qualifications. They're not requirements. And I will say, like, if you're only missing 1 requirement, I still think apply. If you're missing 2 requirements, like use your best judgment on the time. If you're missing 3 requirements, that's when I'm kind of like, if it's a job you really want, just like with any job, you'd want to reach out to somebody that works there, introduce yourself, and ask them what they're looking for in a candidate. Let them know you're really interested and you'd love to have an informational interview with them. Now you're getting your foot in the door and they know you. So that's kind of a workaround for the requirement situation. But if we're just talking about preferences, then that is your chance to sell yourself and really emphasize your transferable skills. All those Spartan ready competencies that we talk about, like organization, teamwork, trying to use their language that they're using in the job posting, that's how you can still be qualified even if you don't meet some of their preferences. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
My pleasure. It's a great question, and it's something a lot of people ask, and something I need to make sure I bring up more. So I'm really glad that you asked that. I'd also be happy to meet with you one-on-one if there's anything else. Whenever you're ready, you can always.
Appointment, yeah.
Cool.
I do have another question, but like if someone else has a question, go for them first.
Thank you.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
So I'm a senior, I'm graduating, and I'm kind of just like, I have like no idea what I'm doing. I've been looking at LinkedIn because I had to make a profile for one of my classes this semester. So I've been, and I'm like a public health student, and I think that, you know, my professor's saying like this job field is really growing, but I just don't really know. Like I have a lot of questions, and I feel like after this presentation, like I might want to schedule like an individual appointment. But I wanted to ask, is career services like open during the summer? Or?
Yeah, great question, Melissa. Also, I'm wondering, have we met before? Have I just
Yes. So I'm in diplomats. I volunteer at all the job fairs.
Gotcha. I was like, not only is your name so familiar, your voice is so familiar. So that cool. Good to see you. So yeah, we are open over the summer, and we still have appointments. We're looking at having presentations and workshops over the summer too. I'll be doing this one again on May 19th. But we're probably not going to be seeing people in person. So just like we're doing right now, it's going to be through Zoom, and the individual appointments will be through Zoom. But yes, we are open over the summer, and our hours over the summer are 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay, thank you. Because I'm just like, it's so hard like trying to balance like the schoolwork that I have and then also looking for jobs. So it's just kind of a mess right now. Yeah. But thank you. I'll be like reaching out soon. But
I look forward to it. I understand completely what you're saying, Melissa. A lot of people, like I said, I work with alumni, and I know last summer I remember that a lot of people were saying that exact same thing. They're like, it was just way too stressful to.
Yeah, it is really stressful because like after this presentation, it's like looking for jobs is like a full-time job. And it's like I can't really like dedicate the time that I need to find a job.
I understand. I know that's really hard, and I think I have that exact phrase as a bullet point on one of my slides. So,
okay.
But I look forward to meeting with you when you're ready.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna get going, but thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, Melissa. Bye. All right, Danny, what was your question?
Okay, so I haven't been on Handshake in a while, and I found out that someone from like Raymond James messaged me at the end of February with like, oh, like we think you'd be like great fit for this like internship, whatever, like please apply. But now it's like the position's gone. So like what do I do in those kind of situations?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're asking such good questions. So this does happen sometimes. I mean, life happens, and life kind of slapped us in the face with this one. So you have been given a great excuse for not responding sooner. Put that aside. I mean, if let's say COVID-19 wasn't occurring and this happens again or has happened before, in that situation, like if you're still interested, I would take the path of being authentic and open with them, and reaching out and saying, hi, so-and-so, thank you so much for reaching out to me. I am very sorry I did not reply sooner. I understand if this position is no longer available. I'm really interested in learning more about your organization and any other opportunities that you may have. I'd love to set up a time to speak with you for an informational interview if you're willing to. I hope you're doing well during this challenging time. Thank you so much, Danny. And just keep it brief and apologize. I do think that's important. But if you're comfortable with that and it's somebody that you want to like still stay in contact with, that's kind of the approach I would take. I know Alyssa actually works with employers more, so I don't know, Alyssa, if you have a different kind of perspective on that.
Hey, no, I was actually just thinking the same thing. Like, I think it's definitely still important to follow up, especially if it's a company that you're interested. Maybe that particular position might be filled, but I mean, for them to keep you in the loop and upcoming positions and start building that relationship, I would definitely still reply.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, thank you. All right, so I will, even though it's like 2 months later.
Yes, I think it's okay. Better late than never. And like, I know firsthand, I've been in that situation before where even if it wasn't for a job, like somebody emailed me, or God forbid, like a family member messaged me on Facebook and I like don't check that. And I feel really bad about it, but I think that it's never too late. And like Alyssa said, there may be other positions available now or in the future. And I think I think it's just kind of like you said before about not applying to a job if you're interested. Same thing applies to not reaching out or following up. You don't want to shoot yourself in the foot.
And Danny, one more thing. Raymond James is actually an organization that career services partners with a lot, like frequently throughout the semester. And I know for a fact, I just saw one of the recruiters post on LinkedIn, like last week, I think, that they were still hiring with multiple positions within the company. So I think that finance is just like one of those industries right now that fortunately is still hiring. So so you might have to go out there and just keeping up and reaching out to that recruiter.
Yeah, it would be less on the financial side and more on like their cybersecurity side. So I'm like international studies major and cybersecurity minor.
Oh, okay. Very nice.
That's awesome.
Different directions. Yeah, it's like, it's fun, but like, I don't know what to do with it.
Yes. Yeah, I feel you. Well, I'm really glad that you participated in this workshop today, and I really appreciate you asking these questions. Is there anything else that you need?
I don't think so. I mean, I set up an appointment with you for like a career exploration thing to figure out where I should go. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But thank you so much. It was really informational. You killed it. You just fit so much information in like an hour. Like I would not be able to do that.
Oh, Danny, that is so kind of you. Thank you so much. And of course I went over the hour, but I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. I look forward to meeting with you soon.
Yeah, me too. Have a great day, guys. Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Thanks, Danny.
Thanks.